You don't see them coming, you feel them. The forest goes quiet, the birds vanish. The paths you thought you knew twist the wrong way, and then from the darkness, horns emerge, hooves pound, and something ancient, hateful, and hungry surges forward all at once. This is what it feels like to face the Beastmen, not an army, a stampede. And the real question is simple. Do you want to control the wild, or do you want to become it? It's hammer time. Hey old worlders, Stefan here for Hammer Time. Choosing your first army in Warhammer the Old World isn't just about rules or models. It's about choosing a fantasy that clicks with you, the one you still enjoy after dozens of games. And today, we're diving into one of the most primal, one of the most aggressive and hostile factions in the entire setting, the Beastmen. Now this is a beginner-first vibe check, so no deep rules, no list maths, no secrets on how to win, just how this army feels, how it looks, how it plays, and whether it fits you. Let's get into it. The Beastmen are true children of chaos. They are not invaders from distant lands, nor fallen warriors from a forgotten empire. They are the result of chaos seeping into the world itself. When the polar gates collapsed and raw energy of chaos flooded the lands, humans and animals alike were twisted and corrupted. From that corruption came horned, hooved hybrids, creatures neither man nor beast. Over generations, these warped beings bred amongst themselves, forming savage herds that roam the dark places of the old world. Beastmen do not build cities, they do not farm or trade, they exist to destroy. Their society is brutally simple. Strength rules all. The strong dominate, the weak are crushed, eaten, or sacrificed. There is no law, no mercy, and no concept of civilization as anything other than an insult that must be torn down. At the top of each herd stand powerful leaders such as beast lords and doom bulls. Massive, brutal figures whose authority comes from raw strength and savagery. Alongside them are brave shamans, twisted prophets who channel chaos through blood rituals, frenzied chants, and madness. To the Beastmen, chaos is not something to worship carefully. It is the natural state of the world. Beastmen keep no written history. They remember only through violence, survival, and dominance. Their homes are the deep forests and marginal lands of the old world, places where civilization is weak and the wild still reigns. They despise all ordered races, humans, elves, dwarves. It makes little difference. Wherever roads are built and cities rise, Beastmen gather in the shadows, ready to raid, burn, and vanish again. You can defeat them in battle, but you can never truly get rid of them. Visually, the Beastmen are one of the most unsettling armies in the old world, because they just look wrong. Their forms are warped hybrids of man and beast, horned heads, cloven hooves, hunched backs, fur-covered bodies, and some look disturbingly close to humans. Others are clearly something far worse. That unsettling familiarity is intentional. Beastmen are a mockery of civilization itself. Their equipment is crude and brutal. Rusted axes, jagged blades, splintered shields stolen from fallen enemies. Armor is rare, uneven, and scavenged. Scraps of metal or bone strapped onto muscle and fur. Nothing matches, nothing is polished. The color palette reinforces this savagery. Browns, blacks, grays, dirty whites, and dried bloody tones dominate the army. Leather, fur, and exposed flesh replaces uniforms and banners. When metal appears, it is dull, rusted, and brutal. What truly defines the Beastmen is visually their lack of uniformity. No two warriors ever look the same. Mutations are everywhere. Twisted limbs, distorted faces, extra horns. Their army feels unstable, like a mob always on the edge of tearing itself apart. Then come the true horrors. Massive minotaurs towering over the herd, other warped monsters that feel barely controllable. These models push the army from savage raiders into full nightmare territory. On the table, a Beastmen force doesn't look like it's advancing in formation. It looks like something wild has broken loose. Now you've seen what the Beastmen look like, you know what they believe, but none of that matters if the way they actually fight doesn't match what you're hoping for. Because this is an army that looks wild and plays even wilder. So now let's talk about what it really feels like to unleash the herd. And by the way, if you're enjoying these faction vibe checks and want more help finding the army that truly fits you, liking the video helps YouTube send more of my content your way, and subscribing makes sure you don't miss the next faction we dive into. Now let's get into playstyle. Everything about the Beastmen points in one direction, and that's forward. On the tabletop, Beastmen are all about relentless pressure and momentum. This is not an army that waits. It does not sit back or trade carefully, it just surges forward and forces the enemy to deal with it immediately. At the heart of the herd are your Gors, Ungors, and Bestigors. Ungors bring numbers and aggression, flooding space and overwhelming through sheer pressure. Gors from the brutal core, savage fighters who thrive in chaos. And Bestigors are the elite, heavier, and more disciplined ones, when devastating when they crash into the enemy lines. Together they don't advance neatly, they overwhelm. Supporting this core are fast, aggressive units that keep the pressure constant. Centaurs thunder across the battlefield with reckless speed. Beastmen chariots smash through weakened formations, and Razorgors add raw animal fury. Fast, violent beasts that feel barely controlled even by the herd itself. Then come the true shock units. Minotaurs are slabs of muscle and rage, hitting with explosive violence. Gorgons take that brutality even further. Towering monsters driven by endless hunger, and Cygors bring a terrifying presence, hurling destruction while radiating chaos-fueled menace. When these units hit, the battle doesn't shift, it breaks. Leading the herd are Beast Lords and Doom Bulls, commanders who fight at the front, carving paths through the enemy and dragging the army forward through sheer brutality. Their presence makes an entire force feel way more dangerous and harder to stop. Magic and Beastmen armies feel wild and barely restrained. Bray Shamans channel raw chaos through blood-soaked rituals and frenzied chants. The magic doesn't feel controlled, it feels violent, disruptive, and perfectly in tune with the army's aggression. Now as a beginner, Beastmen feel fast, aggressive, and immediately impactful. You're encouraged to commit early and keep the pressure on. When things go well, the enemy collapses before they ever can stabilize. But when things go wrong, there is little recovery. Momentum is everything. And now comes the real question, not about efficiency, not about army optimization or being the best, but about what kind of fantasy you want to lead. Choose Beastmen if you love aggression, chaos, and constant forward pressure. If you enjoy being the threat from the very first turn. If you want an army that feels primal, feral, and hostile to order itself. Choose them if tearing down civilization sounds way more appealing than defending it. Avoid the Beastmen if you prefer careful positioning, layered defenses, and long-term planning. If you enjoy refined tactics or armies that can recover quickly from mistakes. Beastmen do not slow down, they do not reset, they either overwhelm or they burn out trying. While the Beastmen tear down everything civilization builds, the old world did not begin in the wild. It began with those who believe it can be perfected. If you want to see the other extreme, discipline instead of savagery, refinement instead of rage, then it's time to return to where the journey all began. It's time to go to the High Elves. They are waiting, and I'll see you there.